Training to failure might be the biggest mistake you are doing right now. You have been told that if you don't train to failure, you will not grow. But what if I tell you that training to failure actually reduces your muscle growth? And the worst part is that most people are doing it in every set. Most people think that training to failure means they are training harder. In reality, it is the reason they stop progressing. After more than 40 years in bodybuilding, competing, coaching, working with thousands of people, I can tell you that training to failure is one of the most misunderstood concepts in bodybuilding. And if you get it wrong, you will stay stuck. For the ones new to my channel, I'm Dr. Yates, former bodybuilding champion. I've been in bodybuilding for over 40 years, competed 46 times, won 17 titles, and during that time, I personally coached over 3,500 clients. I have also published 12 ebooks, which are fully loaded with detailed explanation about everything you always wanted to know about bodybuilding. So if you want to deepen your knowledge and widen your horizons and finally start growing and losing body fat, simply click on that link in the comments and you can download my ebooks. Walk into any gym today and you will hear the same thing. No pain, no gain. Go to failure or go home. If you had one more rep left in you, you don't train hard enough. And this idea has simply become a religion in fitness. I understand why, because training to failure feels intense, it feels productive, gives you the psychological satisfaction that you have done everything you could. But there is the problem. What feels effective does not always mean that is effective. There is a big difference between effort and result. And bodybuilding is not how hard you can push in a single set. It's about how consistently your body grows over time. So when you take a set to failure, what actually happens? Most people think I fully stimulated the muscle, but this is only part of the story. What actually happens is you are fatiguing your central nervous system, you are increasing stress on joints and connective tissues. You're also reducing your ability to perform in the next set and also reducing the total training quality. So instead of one effect, you create multiple layers of fatigue. Let me put it simply. When you go to failure, you don't just fatigue the muscle, you fatigue the whole system, and this is where most people actually make the mistake. They judge the effectiveness of their training by how destroyed they feel, instead of asking, how can I recover from this to improve? And remember, muscle growth is not triggered by exhaustion, it is triggered by effective stimulation followed by recovery. Now let's look at the long-term effects. So if every set is performed to failure, what happens? First of all, your performance drops. Your strength becomes inconsistent. Your recovery slows down, and over time, your progress simply stops. Not because you're not training hard enough, it's because you're training too destructively, and most lifters don't realize this. They think, I'm not growing, so I have to push harder, so they go deeper into failure, even more intensity, more exhaustion, and the result, even worse progress. And this becomes a cycle of effort without development. If every set is your last, your body has no capacity to improve. So remember that. Now, at this point, some of you may ask, but what about Dorian Yates? What about Ronnie Coleman? They train to failure all the time. And yes, this is true. They train with extremely high intensity, often to failure. But you have to understand something very important. They were not training under normal physiological conditions. They were using huge amount of steroids, insulin, and also growth hormone. And these substances dramatically increase recovery capacity, protein synthesis, and also tissue repair. So if you are not on the same amount of exogenous compounds that I have just mentioned, don't even dream about training like Dorian Yates or Ronnie Coleman, because you're going to go nowhere. In simple terms, their bodies recover from the level of stress that a natural lifter simply cannot. But even with all of that, look what happened to them over time. Devastating injuries, muscle tears, tendon rupture, joint damage. They have ended up with serious injuries. You know that. You've seen it. Because pushing the body to failure consistently comes at a cost, even at the highest cost. Even all this huge amount of exogenous compounds could not prevent them from getting all these injuries due to training to failure all the time. Now compare this to golden era. They also used performance enhancing drugs, yes, but not even close to the amounts and types that people started using in the 90s. So they had to train differently. They focused on volume, they focused on control, repetition quality, and they did not take every set to absolute failure. They didn't even go to failure, and this is why they were able to do 30, 40 sets per muscle group. No problem, they could have recovered because they didn't go to failure, they didn't have to. And what is the results of that? Obviously, longevity. None of them had dramatic injuries like people in the 90s had. Obviously, aesthetics. They developed bodies that everybody would love to have. Everybody dreams about looking like Frank Zane, Serge Nubre, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Not many people really want to look like Ronnie Coleman. And also consistency over decades. People from 70s and 80s, some of them are still training and they're looking great in their 70s or 80s. That cannot be said from famous bodybuilders from 90s. And the real question is, can you really recover from it and sustain long term if you train like Dorian Yates or Ronnie Coleman? So ask yourself. You need to understand something very important, and that is that the real purpose of training is not to destroy your body, is to stimulate adaptation. And adaptation requires a strong enough stimulus, of course, followed by full recovery, immediately followed by progression. So if you constantly push to failure, you interfere with the second and the third part of this process. And without recovery, there is no growth. So what is the solution? Should you never train to failure? No. Failure has its place, but it should be used strategically, not constantly. So what I recommend is what I've used for decades. And this is, first of all, train close to failure. You don't have to go for that last rep when you're shaking and you're doing everything in order to lift that weight, because that last rep is a junk volume. This is the rep where the form is not good, when you are using the whole body in order to lift that weight. So don't go there. Don't try to attempt to really do that max last lift. So train close to failure. Number 2, leave 1 or 2 repetitions in reserve. That means that the whole set that you're going to do, either 8 reps or 20 reps, is going to be performed with repetitions which are perfect. So you won't be having any junk volume. And more importantly, you won't be risking injuries. Also, maintain control and technique. So if your last few reps are not very good, in very good form, if you're cheating a lot, doing biceps curls, but you're using more your hips and your back and momentum, you are not training your biceps. You're just hitting hard your central nervous system and obviously risking massive injuries of your biceps, tendons, shoulders, or whatever else you're using. Also, very important, focus on the quality of contractions. I always suggest that concentric part of your repetition when you're lifting the weights should be anywhere from 1 to 2 seconds, while the lowering or eccentric part should be minimum 2 seconds, even more. So every set should last 3 to 4 seconds or more. Because when you do this, you preserve your nervous system. This is very, very important. You protect your joints. So you will never going to be injured badly, as mentioned bodybuilders have. Also, you maintain the performance across the set. You never sacrifice the form. And you increase total training quality. This is absolutely critical for everybody who wants to build muscle without injuries. And most importantly, yes, you can repeat this consistently, week after week, month after month, year after year. And this is where the progress is. Failure is a tool, but not a foundation. Bodybuilding is not about how much pain you can tolerate. It's not about how exhausted you feel after your workout. And it's not about proving something in every set. Bodybuilding is all about understanding your body. This is a very important thing to remember. Understanding when to push, when to hold back. understanding that growth happens not during the set, but after the set. You don't grow during your workout, you grow after the workout. So your workout has to be just enough stimulus for growth, not killing your central nervous system and your joints. And recovery that follows after that, which will be allowed to happen in time because of your intelligent approach, is when you are actually growing your muscles. And once you understand that, your complete approach to training will change. And if you've been training every set to failure and not seeing results, now you know why is that. It's not because you're not training too hard, it is because you are following the wrong principles. And the good news for you is that if you want to learn how to structure your training properly, based on the decades of real bodybuilding experience, you can check out my complete bodybuilding blueprint course in the link below. Let me remind you once again that I have published 12 ebooks for you, which are fully loaded with detailed information about everything regarding muscle growth, training splits, number of sets, number of reps, fat loss, nutrition, lifestyle change, simply everything you always wanted to know about bodybuilding. And if you want to deepen your knowledge and expand your horizons, simply click on the link in the comments and you can access my ebooks. I would also like you to watch this video in which I introduce my other services, ways that I can help you personally one-to-one to get in the best shape of your life. And these services are personalized training programs, personalized nutritional plans, telephone consultations, online coaching, and also personal training one-to-one for people who live in London. So guys, if you have enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel, like the video, share the video, send me your comments, and I will see you in the next video.